we go. Alrighty, what's good, everyone? It's me again, NeoTeslaa, and back again with another live stream. And welcome to podcast number 13. And you know, I'm here with the boys. There goes that. Yeah. So anyways, like I said, I have not done a podcast in like over a month, though. It's just crazy, though. You know, and I was thinking, why not do it? You know, the last time I did this podcast was way before Christmas. Well, there's going to be echoing in John's mic, so it's going to be a little hard for me to talk about. I'll try my best not to get annoyed by it, but, you know, it's whatever.
You could lower my volume.
I know, well, I just want my stream to hear you better, though.
I don't think John wants to be heard.
He doesn't have to, that's fine, though, but at the same time, you're welcome to be part of my podcast if you want, though. So, like I said, this is your first time being in my podcast. And like I said, you guys know who he is. It's Go Boy Rain. I've known him for like almost 8 years. So, April of... Yes, Go Boy Rain.
Are you still on the battle screen of the attack?
So like I said, though, I've known him for almost 8 years, so April of 2015 will mark 8 years of this friendship. That's crazy, man. Like, that's almost a decade. Like, time flies so fast, though.
There's only one guy in their clan.
So, there's this one topic. I don't know why I'm on creative. Yeah. So, just go back on survival. Anyways, guys, the first thing I want to talk about is car dealerships, like car manufacturers. Like, I don't really talk about much in my podcast, but you know, car manufacturers. You know, like you know what it is. Like you got Ford, Chevrolet, you name it, Toyota.
God damn.
Honestly, to be honest. Like, American cars nowadays are not doing very well. They've been going downhill for the past couple of years.
What if this is one of the dead guys?
I mean, don't get me wrong, not all American cars are bad. It depends on, like, how they're manufactured and depending on the people. Because one of the reasons why most American cars don't last very long is because, number one, they're not manufactured properly, they're not properly built. Most of the engines, they wear off too prematurely. They break down too quickly after a year or two. That's a problem with American cars. Because I remember, like, back in 2015. So, when, So, back in 2015, like, when my mom got that Ford, it's a Ford Focus, but I'm not going to give too much detail. But like I said, it's not like I'm giving out information, it's just giving out like a car in general. So, that was 8 years ago, that was like beginning of 2015. So, in 2015, yeah, it was a Ford. But many years ago, like but here's the story, like, when I was little, I think sometime before I was born, my mom used to... I think in the early days of coming to Canada. So my mom used to own a Ford. It was a 1989 Ford Fiesta. But I didn't know it at that time because I was a baby back then. I was a toddler. I was like 1 back then. Don't remember to be exact, but I was about 1. Then I ended up getting another car. But the thing is, I'd like to keep my personal life private, so I don't discuss much. But I'm just discussing about cars in general. Because the thing is, nowadays, like, Ford cars, like, Ford in general, it's like, when you buy a car, even if it's brand new and not used, it does not matter what it is. I don't care if it's a SUV, pickup truck, whatever.
You're checking again?
Yeah.
So, and then after a year or 2 years or whatever, the car would start to act differently, start to have problems with the engine, or oil problems. And there's reasons why, because they're not properly built. And most of them are not designed for harsh winters. They don't do very well in the cold. Especially like smaller cars with lower suspension. They have pretty bad traction. They slide pretty easily in very slippery roads. Because, you know, in order to...
Why you target the wizards?
In order to drive in harsh winters, like... Especially whether you're in Canada or Russia or other cold countries, you need like an SUV, a 4x4 SUV or a pickup truck that are designed to go on harsh winters. You know, what I was saying is that you need a car that's designed to go on harsh winters. Because most cars with lower suspension, they tend to get easily damaged by potholes. Because when you hit so much potholes, your car will start to have more problems. Like,
I don't think they're gonna do much against this.
whoa, what was something I said?
What?
Nothing. Thought you were talking to me for a sec.
No.
I'm just discussing about like cars in general, like, which is part of my podcast. Because, you know, like I said, you already know here in this podcast, you pretty much like talk about pretty much anything you want.
Yes.
You know, like I want to ask you guys questions. What do you think is the best car to own? Is it like an American-made car, a Japanese car, or a European car? Like, what's your thoughts on it? Like, I understand you don't drive, but you get what I mean. But in my opinion, I'll tell you my opinion. I think the longest lasting car you can get for pretty much for anywhere in the world, I would say a Japanese car. One reason why, because they have a longer lifespan, they last longer, they require less maintenance compared to other cars. Well, you still have to maintain it, but you don't have to maintain it as frequently compared to other cars, because most cars which are not designed properly, like especially like most American cars, whether if it's like Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge, you name it, all of them pretty much are not doing very well. Because apparently I found like Ford has been going downhill, and they discontinued a lot of cars, especially like they used to make like that Ford Focus electric car. That car got discontinued for a good reason. Why? Because the range was really small, it had very small range, and you have to constantly charge it every time you run low on battery, because the range was too small. That's like
That's actually
the range was like small as like 100 kilometers or something. At a pretty small range, which is like less than 100 miles. 100 kilometers is equal to 62 miles. That's how much that is. But yeah. So like I said, if you want to own a car, even if you're a new driver, do not buy an American car. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you're into American cars, go ahead. But I gotta tell you, you're not gonna last too long with it, though. You're gonna have a lot of problems with it. So the best bet, I would say, a Japanese car. Just think about it. It's just they handle a lot better. It's got better handling. The engines are a lot better, more powerful. Like, even if it's a sedan, an SUV.
What is this?
What?
What is this face, bro?
Oh, I thought I said.
I forgot to.
What was something? Where are you talking to me?
No.
Oh, I thought you were for a sec. I'm just discussing about like my opinions on like cars, you know. Like, not all American cars are bad. It just depends on how they're made, though. That's why they're so different than other cars. Or another type of good car you get that also lasts pretty long, like a Volkswagen, a BMW, Audi. Those cars are longer lasting than most American cars you see out on the road. Man, there's an Enderman in my yard. there's mobs everywhere.
Yeah. Give me a second, please. Oh, I got rid of the huge part of the defenses.
Are these zombies in? Oh, there we go. All right, this Enderman's starting to annoy me. I'm killing it.
Was that a good
What is this guy's base over here?
What are you just looking
There you go. Got rid of it. I killed that Enderman. Alright, anyways, back to what I was saying in the podcast though. Always go with a Japanese car because plus it'll last much longer. They're longer lasting engines, better fuel economy, especially if you have a hybrid, whatever it's like a Prius, a RAV4 hybrid. That's by far those are pretty decent cars you can get. Hold up a sec. Let me check my stream if my stream is choppy or not, so let's hope it's not choppy. Because if my stream has like choppy frame rate, I'll have to restart and make a new live stream. Because I don't know, I might have to tweak some settings or not, because...
Holy crap, John. Do you see the barbarian camp on this dude?
Alright, so stream is pretty... Steam is...
No.
Oh, man, my stuttering is just going crazy. Anyways, let me check to make sure my mic is on. Alright, just want to make sure. Alright. So, back to what I was saying, though. Always go with a Japanese car. Because they last longer, fuel economy is a lot better. You know, it could either be a Toyota, Mitsubishi, Subaru. I heard Subaru are really good at making cars. They're not very cheap at all. Don't get messed up with it. They're not cheap at all, but they make really good cars. And plus they make really...
Oh, why am I lagging on Clash of Clans, bro?
Plus they get like plug-in hybrids, like a Crosstrek hybrid, Crosstrek, whatever that thing is. Subaru Crosstrek hybrid. Plug-in. You can also go in EV mode, but at a certain range. Not like a Tesla range, because... But they're pretty good cars, so... You can always go for a Subaru plug-in hybrid. I mean... If I were to own a hybrid car, I would not mind going EV mode once in a while. I'll probably mostly go in more. I mean, if you really want to save gas, then go in EV mode. You know, if you want to save more gas, you know. Let's say if you're just driving for small distances, you can always go in EV mode. You know, that's part of having a plug-in hybrid.
Bro, what are these wizards doing?
Because plus you can even recharge the battery by pushing the brake, though, or charging it. You don't have to necessarily charge it.
What's up with the wizards? They don't do much damage for some reason.
So, yeah. What I'm saying is that, yeah. I think the best cars to get on the road, I'd say a Japanese or a European car. Any type of European car works pretty good. Whether it be like a Volkswagen, BMW, Audi, or it doesn't have to necessarily be a German car. It can also be an Italian car, a Fiat, Lamborghini. Well, Lamborghinis are really expensive, but they're really awesome vehicles. But the best bet so far, like if you're not the type of person that drives a sports car, you can always go with the Japanese car. It can be a Honda, Toyota, whatever, Mitsubishi, Mazda.
Well, that chain magic goes hard, though.
Acura,
yo, this shit destroyed everything.
Well, Acura is like another version of Honda because it's literally owned by Honda, so that's why it's the closest relative to it, though. That's why they're so familiar.
Holy, you wiped out the whole defenses, bro.
Like, there's even an Acura car that looks just like the Honda Civic, which is basically a replica of it, though.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, it's pretty much the exact same model because, you know, Acura is literally owned by Honda. Because, you know, it's the company that owns Acura.
I'm pissed.
My god.
Nah,
So, anyways.
nah,
But,
let that shit slide, bro.
Alright, well. Well, it's like.
That's not gonna just see what happens.
What's up?
Huh? I was like,
Oh, what I was.
Just send in all your guys.
Well, what I was gonna say here, I think I'm pretty much done discussing about cars for now.
Oh yeah. Wait, I got one more thing to say. Oh, I got one thing to say about it.
About what?
I feel like I mainly, like, shoot, I forgot what it was called, but I modify my car.
Hey, I mean, go
I'm not
for it.
serious, like,
I mean, you can always modify, like, tune it up, you know, if you wanted to,
yeah.
like, I mean, the thing is, unless if you want to tune it up, then yes, you can make any car live longer. It can be, whether if it's an American car, Japanese, or a European car, whatever, or even a Korean car. I've heard Korean cars, which is, like, the two big Korean cars are, like, Hyundai and Kia.
that mom would have killed those archers. I would have left this shit right.
I'm not talking North Korea, I'm talking about South Korea, because South Korea is the country home to Hyundai and Kia.
Let's take this one. That multi-mortars are gonna go insane.
But I think my best bet, for my opinion, I would definitely always go with a Japanese car. One reason, you know, it's they're better in fuel economy. They faster in takeoff, plus they have better takeoff. You know, it also depends on the horsepower and the transmission, the specs. Plus, you know, like most hybrid vehicles, they're excellent on takeoff. They ride so smooth. Like, there's no gear changes to it. Like, I mean, there are hybrid cars with gear changes, but I can't really call it a true hybrid. Because most hybrid systems have like a 1-speed.
Where are you going?
Like a CV, whatever it is. Like most hybrid systems, like for your car, has like a 1-speed. I mean, there's no gears in it though. Like, that's how a hybrid system works. You're literally accelerating. Plus with the extra horsepower from the electric motor. And that is the reason why hybrid cars have a much faster takeoff than normal conventional vehicles.
Big bombs? Big bombs, huh? Yeah,
So that's why if you want a city vehicle that has faster takeoff, always go with a hybrid. Because the electric motor gives you extra horsepower, faster takeoff. You know? Especially if you're heading on a highway, you can just pick up speed no problem. Yeah, you can always tune up any vehicle if you want to keep it, whether if it's like a muscle car from the 60s or 70s, you can always tune it up. Just gotta take care of it, like refurbish it in order to keep it running like it's new. It's called refurbishing a car.
My idea is retarded, but
you can even refurbish a car from the 20s. You can refurbish a car from the 70s. You can refurbish any type of car.
Alright,
you can even put like a new engine to it though, or a new transmission, whatever.
Fuck.
Same goes for like trucks and buses, like, because I've heard like, you know, with if you have like a newly built truck, like a semi truck, you can even put an older engine on a new truck. That's like glider kits. It's literally like a place where you can just customize your own vehicle.
Do I need
like customize the specs? Same goes for cars. You know, you can customize a car, customize the specs, the transmission, the engine, whatever you want to do, just the way you like it. You can put a V8 on it, a V6.
This isn't gonna work.
You can even convert or let's say you can convert like a car to an electric. Imagine converting it to an electric. I mean, I'd rather convert it to, I don't mind converting it to electric, but I would probably convert it, if I were to have a car that's normally,
the idea works.
I'm pretty sure one day in the future, right?
All the differences are gone.
by 20
What did you do?
in 10, 20 years from now.
What I
Maybe
do,
the
I
cars
use
we see
magic.
today, maybe they'll be converted to electric. Who knows? But that
Holy
costs
crap,
more
they're
money.
all gone.
But that costs more money converting a car from gasoline or diesel to electric, like full-on electric. No engine, no transmission. Just an electric motor and batteries, that's it.
Whatever I do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Honestly, I don't care.
you can pretty much tune up any car you want to do, just the way you like it.
Good enough, or you did good enough for the next attacker.
So, what I was gonna say,
There we go.
Yeah.
Second that.
but like I said, it's not like an everyday podcast. Like back then, I would usually do them like weekly. Maybe once in a while, I'll do them every couple days.
Where are you going?
Because honestly, I really miss doing podcasts though, and it's been a month since I last done it. So, if you're watching the stream right now, and if you guys are missed the stream, and if you want me to do more
Always
podcasts,
that didn't kill him.
just hit me up in the comments section or in the live chat, whatever you want to do. If you want more podcasts, if you want me to do more podcasts, I mean, a daily podcast would be perfect, but you know, because that's something I enjoy
What are you doing?
as a hobby. I mean, in the beginning, I'm going to do podcasts as a hobby until you can, who knows, until I, unless if I end up doing podcasts like
I'm getting
for a
off.
living, like out of nowhere. If I did podcasts for a living, oh man, that's like a dream job though. That's like a dream.
Thank God the multi-motor is gone.
Because I think, I'm not saying it's very easy, but you know, you have to come up with topics or an episode, and you put it out there on like Spotify or iTunes, you know, so people can buy your podcast. You have to encourage people to buy your podcast. That's how podcasters make money. It's same goes for like musicians. They put their music out there on discs, CDs, iTunes, Google Play, you name
Shut
it.
up, it is
Google Play
bad,
Music. You know, that's how musicians make money.
Bro, John, isn't it crazy how it's 6,000?
Or they buy your album.
Coins for
For
a little campfire.
Where?
You know, we could just
So how many
kick it over.
Oh, I know.
We could do like seasons. So I might do some podcast seasons. I might do a season 2 of podcast, like a new type of podcast. So
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to necessarily be seasons. It can be like anything you want to do. So this is podcast number 13, man. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna talk about on podcast number 14. It can be just whatever you want. Whether it be music, talking about musicians, you name it.
Yeah.
Talking about the musicians we like, or if you interview someone, that's also part of a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a couple of AC/DC members got interviewed in a few podcasts, or former AC/DC drummers. You name it. That's telling you an example.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright. That's pretty much it. I think I'm pretty much done talking about dealerships. Now I also want to talk about the good old days, like the good memories, like the good past, you know? I haven't talked about it in a while. And no, we're not talking about like the bad past. We're talking about the good past. That's what it means, the good old days, you know? My childhood. I haven't talked about it. I don't talk about my childhood very much, but my childhood was pretty good most of the time. Especially when in my preteen years, all the way up to like 14, 15. So I think around 14, 15, that's when my happiness levels started to go down. It all started like when I entered, high school. But I don't really talk about it much but I just want to talk about like my good childhood I had back in the day. Because there was this time like when I was in elementary school, right? Like every time it would be a lunch break or recess, I would always like make paper airplanes. I used to be so obsessed with making paper airplanes and just fly them outside on a windy day. And I didn't see my other classmates do paper airplanes, but I was the only one doing it. And I remember I made my very first paper airplane. At the beginning, I sucked at doing it, but some of my friends. What?
What?
Oh no, my mom was late.
So,
No.
what I was saying is, I sucked at making paper airplanes as a kid, right? But then some of my teachers or my fellow classmates taught me to do it, and I got the hang of it. I started getting better at making my own paper airplanes, and I didn't have to, because before that, I couldn't even make my own paper airplane at all. So I had to ask someone to do it for me. So then I ended up. Then they taught me how to do it. So I ended up, I got better doing it though. And like I said, it's not that hard to make a paper airplane though. They're pretty easy to make. You can even make a big one, a small one, whatever. I remember I made a big paper airplane and it came out amazing. Like, wow. That was awesome. Which kind of gets me to thinking, like, what if I want to do one again? What if I I understand it's a kid thing, but who cares though? But I had a blast though. Those are one of the best childhood memories I ever had. Is always playing with paper airplanes on my spare time whenever I would go outside.
Eddie,
What?
making paper airplanes is a kid thing. I thought it was more like a boomer type thing.
No, paper airplanes is not really that. No, it ain't that. It's just, it was a thing that I used to like doing in my spare time. Every time I would go outside and play, I would always make a paper airplane and just fly with it, throw it, and watch it fly. And just run after it. That's how fun it was. I had a couple friends do it with me, but then they ended up just run somewhere else and do something else, and I ended up playing with paper airplanes myself. I didn't see no one else doing it because I was pretty much the only one doing it. I was the only student there that was throwing paper airplanes right there. And I used to always go on the swings all the time. I remember, like, every time I would go on a player, I would always go on the swings, like the tall swings. That was fun. Like, that was one of the, like it would always make me happy every time. Like, it helps me forget about things, get my mind off of things. Those were the best times I ever had. Because there's been times where I didn't want to get off the swing at all. I just wanted to stay in there for like an hour or 2 hours. And then I had some people tell me, get off the swing, time to go inside. And I was like, no, I don't want to go inside. I want to stay on the swing. And there were times where I would get in like trouble and timeouts just because I didn't want to get off the swing. I was a pretty spoiled kid back then. I was a very spoiled brat. I was very spoiled back then. I was like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and even up to 13 or 12, I was still a very spoiled brat though. And even in my teen years, I was still a spoiled brat. But I'm telling before that though, that's one of the things I used to do. Like every time it would be like, no matter what playground I go to, like there's just one lake, but I'm not gonna give it to you. There's just one lake, right? There was one lake with the big tall swings. I would just stare at the lake and go on the swing. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. That was the best part though. I used to go on swings all the time. And even when I was a bigger kid, like in my preteen years, 12, 13, 14, I was still going on swings. I was still doing it to the... Like, I didn't care how big I was still doing it. I just loved it so much. Like, I couldn't help it, though. It's not because it's like an, addiction. Because I could be able to go a day without going on a swing. I could. Because sometimes there would be times where I would just throw a tantrum because I've been told not to go on the swing. I was very spoiled, dude. I was a spoiled kid back then. I was a very edgy, spoiled kid, though.
Don't ever say. Yeah, bro.
Because I used to be like, no, I want to go on the swing now. I don't want to wait my turn. I want to go on the swing. That's how spoiled I was. Oh my god, that's how I was a really edgy kid back then, and I'll always get in trouble for it every time I don't wait my turn. I'd be like, Eddie, you gotta wait your turn. Let them go on the swing, and then when they're done, you can go. I was so spoiled, man. I was a very spoiled kid. I was a spoiled 10, 11, 12-year-old kid back then. I'm not talking like you. Well, it does not matter. I was a spoiled kid back then.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't say that. That would be disrespectful.
And these were the times where I used to go on a scooter once in a while. Then I ended up going on a scooter more often, like 12, 13. I was doing it like at 10 years old, 9. Well, that's when around 10 or 11, that's when I started going on scooters more frequently. And even at 14, I was still riding a scooter. The last time I ever rode a scooter was 15. That was the last time I've been on it. Then I ended up riding a bicycle more often, and ever since then, I never touched a scooter. And I have not touched a scooter in like almost 10 years, though. I haven't been on it in 10 years. Now here I am, 24 going on 25, and I still have not touched a scooter ever since then, and never looked back. Nowadays you get like adult-sized scooters, like electric scooters. Because most of them you get on the market are mostly electric scooters, especially in Europe. They're very popular over there. And they go really fast. You don't even have to use your foot to go on an electric scooter. You just do it by just using the handle or the buttons.
You don't put your foot on the scooter?
No, I'm talking about like running with your foot. You have to like go. You know how a scooter looks like, right? You know with. Yeah. I'm talking like a traditional scooter, but without the motor.
What?
What?
But me, I never rode an electric scooter in my life. Never.
I have.
Electric scooter is battery, not a motor. What?
It's like a normal. It's like any other scooter, but just with an electric motor. I'm not talking about like mopeds, though. A moped is like a tiny little motorcycle. That's what a moped is.
A moped is slow and easily pushed over.
Yeah, why are they even called mopeds in the first place?
Now, I don't know if it's like a moped you're driving, because the moped
I mean,
I had
Yeah.
went up to 100 miles per hour. Then again,
yeah, it's like a scooter. Yeah, that's what a moped is. It's like a tiny little motorcycle or e-scooter. Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, that's basically what a moped looks like. Yeah, I've seen a moped before in real life. I've seen it a couple times. I pretty much know what a moped looks like.
yo, Eddie.
Or it could be like a e-bike, though. That is labeled a moped. What's up?
I said, do you have e-girl?
What's up?
I said, do you have e-girl?
E-girls?
Yes.
Well, why are you asking me that question? Well, the thing is, what's with the term e-girls? Like I get it's like an electronic.
Emotional girl or internet girl.
Hmm?
It's either emotional. Ma.
Emotional.
Isn't it e-girl for like emo or like emotional girl?
Because I don't know what's with the term e-girl though. Like, I. Oh, to be honest, I don't pay attention to definitions very often. Like, what's with the term e-girl? Like, e-girl is like electronic or
I
emotional.
had a chance for you. What's with the term nigger, bro? Like, why is that so terrible?
Yeah, that racial slur. Well, that word. Well, actually, if you look in the history, you know, I'm not going to discuss about it because. Well, I'm not going to discuss about the word because I don't want to get taken off this platform though. So.
You're right, my bad.
Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube, and it's not your fault though. It's mostly me.
Yeah, for letting you on this podcast.
But I'm just saying that
You know,
I
I
cannot
could've been the
discuss
guy
about
who just
words
stayed
like that
quiet.
because I don't want to get taken off this platform. That's the last thing I
I'm
ever want
stay
is get
quiet.
taken off a platform over a word.
I don't know. It depends on how much weight the word has.
Well,
The word
even if you
has
say
no
the
weight.
word, even if you
Words,
say that one word but
bro,
without the R
words
sound,
don't have
still,
weight on them.
it
man.
doesn't matter. Even
Well,
if you
that's
say it
the
without the
thing.
R's.
Yeah,
Like on,
yeah.
you know those e-bikes you
All
see
right. How much does the
in
word
a
10 weigh?
yeah,
Not like that.
some e-bikes which look like motorcycles, yeah, they're
Don't
labeled
know.
mopeds.
You're calling me a You're the one being stupid.
A
I'm
definition
not
of a
being
moped.
stupid.
Yeah,
They're like
you
small
are. You
little
know
motorcycles.
You know what I mean.
That's why they're called
yeah, you're being a
mopeds.
smart
I
butthole.
don't know what you.
Oh my goodness.
So it means less
Yeah,
speed,
I'm gonna go.
slower
It's
takeoff. Yeah,
1:20 a.m.
that's
Yeah, I hope
basically.
John gets ran over by a moped cop.
All right, come on, don't say that though.
What?
Yeah, that's what a moped is. It's like a small, tiny motorcycle. It's like pretty much like a scooter.
That'd be funny, bro. Moped cop.
So what do we do with this podcast?
Like
What
I've
do
seen
we
a
listen
moped in the Ratatouille movie where that one girl, the chef was dating. There's a scene of her driving a moped. Her name was Colette, you know, from. Oh, looks like it's just you and me now. Oh, now I'm by myself then. Yeah, that's basically what a moped is. Everybody knows what it is. I mean, I would drive a moped. I would. They're pretty fun to drive. I would not go with a motorized one. I'd rather go with an electric one because one reason, gas prices. I don't want to spend money on gas. That's the problem. So I'd rather get an electric moped because plus it's pretty easy to get around. But you have to lock it. Where are you going to leave it? That's another problem owning a moped. But I don't mind getting a moped. But, you know, let's talk about music, though. That's another thing I want to talk about. Oh, wait, I didn't finish discussing about the good old days. Like, there's been times, right, where I would just, like, you know, I used to always go on a swing, though. And my best childhood memory, I would say, one of the best childhood memories is definitely, going to the beach with a group of students, my fellow friends. This was the funnest time I ever had, and it was awesome. Just having fun in the water, just playing, have a good time, you know, just get our mind off of things. That was really fun, though. I'm telling you, man, it was fun. And then and I used to go on my very first camping trip. This was May of 2011. That was my very first camping trip with Mom. This was back when I was in grade 7, like with me and all my friends from grade 7. And I think a couple of them were from grade 6, I believe, but I don't know to be exact, but I think most of them are from grade 7. And yeah, me and all my friends, we were all 13 back then, because most of my classmates were all the same age as me, because they're all born in 98. So me and all my friends, all my classes, we were all 13 back then. And there was this one time where I would just go hiking, you know. And I remember there was a time where I was so scared. I was holding. I was like, oh God, I'm scared. I don't want to fall. Oh, it's so steep. It's scary. Dude, I was a scaredy 13-year-old. I was a whiny 13-year-old back then. That's how I was back then. I was a bit squeaky back then. I had a voice of an 11, 10-year-old. But that's how I used to sound like when I was 13. I still sounded like a full-on kid. I still did. And my voice was not like this until I was like, at the late stage of 14 or so around 15, I think that's when my voice started to change slightly. So that's when I started to have a change of voice, though. It started around 15. So like late 20, yeah, it was 15. So, but it wasn't super deep. Like there were times where my voice would go deep one time, but so around that, like my softer voice started to deepen. Like it wasn't super deep. It was like, it's like a typical voice of a, like I still sounded like a kid, but it's just, that's when my voice started to mature a little bit. I didn't sound like a full-on squeaker anymore by the time I was 15. That's when I started to not sound like a squeaker anymore. I still did sound like it. It's just I sounded more like a 13-year-old. I sounded more like I was 13. Like that's how I was. Way up until I was like, 18, 19 years old. So I think around 18 or 19. I think that's when my voice started to mature a little more. So around 18 or 9, I think around 18, 19, that's when my voice started to mature a bit. Started to mature more. Like to this day, I still sound like a kid. Not like a full-on kid, it's just I sound more like I'm 14, 15, or 16. To me, I sound more like when my voice goes a little bit deep, I sound more like I'm 14 or 15. I sound more like I'm 15 or 16-ish. And at times, like whenever I would have my voice be energetic, I would sound like more like a 14-year-old. But that's besides the point. But anyways, back to what I was saying about my camping trip though. On my camping trip, right? This was one of the funnest times. And I remember I used to like play all kinds of like activities. We would do like I don't even remember what activities were back then. It's been so many years, like been nearly 12 years since that. Like time flies so fast. It's been nearly 12 years since I've last been on that camping trip. And I will never forget that moment to this day. It was one of the funnest times I ever had in my life. And then I remember my first time going on a canoe boat. I was a little scared. I was like, I was like that. That's how my voice was. It was a little bit higher. Not like currently now. Like if I do like my voice was like this. Like it was like a girly whine. I was like, that's how my voice was. That's how I sounded like when I was whining. I was doing girly whines like crazy whenever I would get scared. I was making like girly whiny noises. That's what I used to do back then. And even when I was 14, I was still making girly noises like whenever I would whine. Because 14 was the last time I was able to scream like a girl, like a little girl. That's how my voice used to be, but as time went by, I couldn't scream like that anymore. I couldn't. That girly scream is gone. And to be honest, yeah, that's how I used to scream back then. Like whenever I would scream so hard, like for fun, I screamed like a little girl, like ah, like that. But it wasn't exactly like that. It sounded more like a little girl screaming. It sounded more like a 10-year-old girl screaming like very high pitch whenever she would like get scared. Like that's how my screaming voice used to be. That's how I used to scream back then. Like that was just crazy. And then I would react like, oh my god, I screamed like a girl. I can't believe it. And everyone reacted. I was like, my god, Eddie, you screamed like a girl. Oh man. I'll never. What the? That was a cave sound. I will never forget these days, dude. Those moments were the best. That was funny. I to this day, it's still very memorizing, you know. Okay, what I was gonna say is like, where was I? About my camping trip. I didn't finish talking about it. I talked about it in my other podcast, but I haven't talked about it in a while. Like the full story of my camping trip. That's like one of my favorite stories I like to tell, which is part of my childhood. This was my early teen years. This was when I was 13. But, you know, what I was saying is, I remember the first time going on a canoe boat. And I was like, that's how I was. Whenever I would whimper, I was like whimpering like a girl though. That's how I was every time I would get scared. And I would go on a canoe boat. I was on the canoe for the first time, and I was like, oh God, save me. Ah. I was crying, man. I wasn't really crying with tears. I was just being a crybaby. I was whining like a little baby, though. I was whining like a little girl. I was just doing girly whines whenever I would get scared or anxious. Because I had fears of like drowning and all that shit, you know? Like, that's just, you know, that's how I was, dude. I was a scaredy, whiny 13-year-old back then. That's how I was. I couldn't help it. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. So, what I was saying is, like, those are the good old days. And then there was just, and I remember I used to go on, you know, this is something hilarious. Alright, I remember the first time going in the boys' cabin. I didn't feel really comfortable sleeping there because, well, to be honest, like, my mom came with me on that camping trip because, you know, some of my fellow classmates bring their parents with them, like their moms or their dads, a couple of them, and then I was a little uncomfortable. I was like, I felt so lonely, like my teacher would have let me sleep in the, you know, in the girls' room, you know, in the girls' you know, cabin, and I was the only boy in there, and I don't know why that happened. But I didn't really choose to go there, but it just happened. And I know you should not sleep in a girl's room as a man, but dude, like, come on, dude. Times were different back then. I was a whiny 13-year-old man. At that time I didn't really feel comfortable sleeping with other people that I don't really know too much. I didn't feel comfortable being around people back then. I didn't feel too comfortable being around certain people. And it's not because I hate them, it's just I had social anxiety. It's because of my social anxiety. I just didn't feel too comfortable being around others at the time. That's why that happened in my camping trip. But it was pretty fun. Sleeping there was like it felt good though, you know? We used to like do a few activities where we just play like badminton and just play in the grass. Not really playing in the grass, just whatever you want to do in the camping trip. But that was so fun. We used to like go on walking trips. We just walk. This was my camping trip though. Well, the thing is, we didn't go by road. We were going by boat from one coast to the other. We were going by boat because it was on an island. It was on an island, right? And that's what happened. And I was at that one cabin. The reason why I didn't want to sleep at the other cabin because I didn't feel comfortable sleeping around certain people. Like, I didn't feel too comfortable. It felt like I was an outcast, I would say. I didn't feel too comfortable sleeping around certain people. And they were all good to me. They were not bullies or anything. It's just I just didn't feel very comfortable sleeping around others that I don't talk to very often. Some of them, but you get what I mean, right? But they all knew who I am. They knew me because they recognized me wherever I go. Every time I walk around, they would know me. I was always recognized though. Like everywhere I go, I was always being recognized. You know? But that's how I was, man. I was a whiny 13-year-old like back then. What would you expect? I was a little kid. I wasn't very little. I was like 5'8" or 9, I believe. I was 5'8" by the time I was 13, so somewhere like that. I think I was. And by the time I was 14, I was already 5'9", around 5'9", 5'10". By the time I was 14 and 15, I was 5'10", and by the time I was 16, I was almost 6 foot. And I started hitting 6 feet tall about it as soon as I turned 17. I was already 6 foot tall. And I stopped growing at 19. Now I'm currently 6'2" to this day. But anyways, that's pretty much like my story of an Elphinstone. Not really. Okay, I should not say it. Well, the thing is, it's all in the past though, so you might not really find it, but you get what I mean. That was the funnest moments I ever had though. Like, it was the best camping trip, one of the best camping trips I ever had. It was really fun. And before I was going on a ferry, on the way to the camping trip, I didn't feel like eating a sandwich back then, because back when I was a kid, I didn't really like eating too much bread back then. I didn't feel comfortable eating too much bread because the way the bread looks, it was too puffy. I didn't feel like eating bread back then. I don't know why. I don't know why I was like that back then. I just didn't. I was a kid back then. I didn't feel like eating bread though. I used to be like, oh, I don't want to eat bread. No, I don't want to eat it. That's how I was back then. and some certain people make me eat it anyways. I don't care. Just eat it. It's not that bad. I didn't know. I was very edgy back then. I was a very edgy kid. I was a very edgy kid. I was on my edgy phase. And even in my teen years, I was still on my edgy phase. Like, I would always get edgy over, like, because there was this one time, like, I always get edgy if I'm being told not to sit in the back of the bus. Like, when I was a kid, whenever I would go on a school bus ride, I had to always throw a tantrum. I'd be like, no, I don't want to sit on that seat. I want to sit in the back seat. I don't want to sit in the other seat. I want to sit in the back. I like sitting there. That's how I was back then. That was part of my edgy face. I was a very spoiled kid, though. Because every time things would have not gone my way, I would just throw a tantrum. I would throw a fit over a seat. That's how I was as a kid. And even when I was like, that was way up until I was like 14, 15, or 16. That was up until I was like that was way up until I was like 15 or 16. Then as I got older, I eventually grew out of it. I realized, like, you know what? It's not worth getting upset over a seat, though. Like, it's just a seat. Man, why is there a spider in my house? Like, on my house, though. I want to get rid of it. Man, I have to go up so high. It fell. Well, my iron axe is dead. Well, I'm gonna rely on diamonds for now. That's what we're gonna rely on. Guess it's gonna be my last time relying on iron tools, so I'm gonna still use my iron pickaxe until I start using my diamond one. But I'm still gonna be using iron because until I get more, until I have enough diamonds to make diamond armor, But yeah, those were one of the best camping trips I ever had. I miss that though. This was the best memory, one of my best childhood memories. But another childhood memory is like, also a funny childhood memory. My embarrassing childhood moments were just, there were times where I would always throw a fit whenever things would not go my way. I would throw a fit and I would be like, and I used to throw a fit, like, I remember this one time, right? Where there was that one Super Nintendo in here. There was this one room in here with that Super Nintendo, and whenever they want to play, I would throw a fit and be like, I want to play. I don't want to wait my turn. I want to play. That's how I was. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old back. I was like 11 or 12 back then. And that was the first time playing on a Super Nintendo. Playing Super Mario on it, that was fun though. Imagine playing Super Nintendo. If I were to own a Super Nintendo, I would. Because currently I've heard Super Nintendo had really, really good games in there. But I would definitely do that. Like, they had a lot of good games in there though. But yeah, those are my childhood memories. I'll still talk about them more here and there, you know, in other podcasts. Maybe even in my next podcast, who knows? Because here in this podcast, I pretty much just talk about like anything you want. But yeah, I do really miss my childhood at times though. It was fun. I was very happy back then. I was a very happy kid. Most of the time, I was a very happy, playful kid back then. I was very happy, man. And those were the best moments I ever had. I had a lot of good times there, man. A lot. Yeah. But, you know, hey, life goes on at the end of the day. We're not kids anymore. We have to... It really sucks growing up, but we have to live with it, though. Yeah, there's been shit where I don't feel like growing up, and I don't feel like a grown up to this day. But, you know, what else can you do, man? Hey, there's an old saying you always been told. In life, eventually, you gotta grow up. But, you know, hey, you know, you gotta do what makes you happy. No matter what age you are or what you've been through. Find yourself, go to your happy, because the thing is, if you ever had a bad day, if you've been depressed over a bad situation or whatever, go to your happy place. Go to your happy place. Relive the good memories. Think about the good memories you had. Think about the good old days. Like, go to your happy place, you know, to make yourself feel better. Because when I think about my happy place, like, as a kid, it makes me feel good, you know? Makes me feel better. Sometimes I'll get emotional about it because... And this was like back when my grandma was alive at the time, though. You know, when she was alive at the time, she would always cook my favorite food, though. She was always cook my favorite. Does not matter what it is, she always cooked my favorite because she knew me so well. And I really liked her cooking, man. I tried. There's been times where I tried to outcook her, but you couldn't. She could outcook me. She even outcooked my mom, too. Because I used to think, when I tried cooking for myself, I used to think, I'm the better cook. But turns out that's not the case. She outcooked me, man. That woman could outcook anybody. You could never cook like her. No matter how hard you try. Her cooking will not be as good as her cooking. Because she outcooked me. That's how special she was. What made her so unique. The way she was cooking food. She was doing it the old-fashioned way. That's why. Her cooking was so different than my mom's cooking and way different than my cooking. Because all her recipes she did was the old-fashioned way. She's always been doing that ever since she was younger. She'd been using the exact same recipes from the 70s and 80s. And when she was alive, she was always using those recipes. The exact same recipes. Whether it's doesn't matter, even from the 60s. But most of the recipes she uses were mostly from the early, mid-70s, late 70s. Like, most of them were from, like, 1976, I believe. Late 70s. Because 76 is already considered late 70s. She was using the exact same recipes from years ago. That's how good her cooking was. She never focused on new recipes. She always did it the old school way, though. That's why her cooking was so good. And that's why. That was just awesome. And, you know, I do. And it's crazy. It's been 7 months since she passed, though. You know, it's really sad, though. And I know I'd talk about it here and there, but it's just... You can't really get over it, though, because, you know, it's someone you love very much, you know? That's what happens when you lose a loved one. New reply to a comment on Psycho Dad Restore. Oh, I just got a New reply tech. Oh. Oh. I was like, what? Oh, reply. Let's find out. Did Psycho Dad reply to my... Oh, yeah, there's been... Like, whenever I would reply to Psycho Dad's videos, yeah, he would heart my comment. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. The legend himself. He hearted my comment. Let's go. That was crazy, man. He's such a legend, man. Who doesn't love Psycho Dad? I love him, man. He's such an awesome dude and an awesome character. I'll definitely love to meet him one day. Yeah, big shout out to the Psycho Dad. Big shout out to him. Link, you know, you can look him up, Psycho Dad. You don't even have to look up the description. Just look him up, though. Psycho Dad. Big shout out to him, guys. Yeah. Music. I would talk about music, but you know, I want to talk about some music that I like and like, well, when I was a kid, I grew up listening to like 70s and 80s rock music, which would be like Supertramp, AC/DC, Mark Anthony. I used to listen to Mark Anthony a lot back then. I used to always listen to like I did grow up listening to like 90s music as well. 90s music was awesome. I still like 90s music to this day. I still do listen to it. Most of the time I mostly listen to like AC/DC music from like I think mostly from the early 80s, early 90s, whatever. Especially the Back in Black album I mostly listen to, but I love AC/DC. That's like one of my favorite rock bands, though. That's like my favorite rock band I like to listen to. I started listening to AC/DC when I was like 8 years old, so I think that's when I started getting into AC/DC, because my mom showed me it. She introduced me to it. The first one I've listened to was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, or just call it Dirty Deeds. That was the first AC/DC song I listened to. Yeah. You already know, that song came out in 1976, though. Because that was the year Dirty Deeds came out, though. And Joan Jett sang it, too, but not as good as AC/DC did, because AC/DC did it way better, because they're the ones who came up with that song. Yep, AC/DC did that all the time, dude. They're the ones who came up with that song 46, 47 years ago. It's crazy. It's still an iconic song today. You got TNT, Thunderstruck, Back in Black. The Back in Black album was the best. It's the best album. You know, that's what made it so unique, though, because the Back in Black album was dedicated to Bon Scott's memories, and we're all dedicated to him. Like, Have a Drink on Me was dedicated. It was a song about Bon's drinking. That's basically what the song was about. That's why it was added to the album. It was based on his drinking. That's why they did the song Have a Drink on Me. And plus, it's a pretty good song. I love it, man. That's like also one of my other favorite songs. Have a Drink on Me, AC/DC. You got Shoot to Thrill. Oh, it's an amazing song. It's bad to the bone. Hell's Bells. Oh my god, I love it. I love Hell's Bells. Such a great song. Such a good song, man. You gotta love Hell's Bells, man. It's amazing. Thunderstruck, oh my god. The best of them all, dude. Gotta love Thunderstruck, man. It's the best song. And then you got, yeah. You gotta love, like, who, you know, I know I kept saying this, but you just can't help it, man. It's the best rock band. They rock. I really wish they could do tours again, though. Like, I never had a chance to see AC/DC in concert. If I were to watch them perform, oh my god, I would. I would definitely do anything to go to an AC/DC concert. I mean, hey, look on the bright side. ZZ Top still makes concerts to this day. They still do tours. They never stopped. They still do it to this day. They've been touring for like. They've been touring ever since the 60s, ever since the late 60s. Yeah, ZZ Top been making music since 1969, though. Right? They've been doing this for about 54 years. Like, that's a long time, though. And they're still doing it, though. They're still kicking it. But then, nearly 2 years ago, we lost Dusty Hill, who passed away. Now got replaced by Elwood Francis, which is right now the bass player of ZZ Top. You still got Billy Gibbons, the lead vocals of ZZ Top. Billy Gibbons, you still got Frank Beard. And yeah, there was no drummer that replaced Frank Beard. He was the only drummer, and he was the only person that stayed in the band for all this time. You know, Frank Beard is a really good drummer. He's amazing. The way he would play the drums and all kinds of drum solos, like in La Grange. Oh my god, amazing though. He's an awesome drummer though. Like, he's amazing. But you know, hey, you gotta love rock music though. But AC/DC is great, amazing. But some of the new songs, some of the newer songs I listen to, some of them are okay. Just most of them are like, they don't have that much of a groove to it though. They're kind of like they're more repetitive. They sound a little more annoying. They're not that fun. They're not as groovy as they used to be back in the 90s, 80s, and 70s and 60s. Music was a lot better back then. It was. Music was real back then. I mean, don't get me wrong, music ain't fake though. Like, if you look back in like rap music from the 90s and early 2000s, it was a whole lot better back then. Like, even rap music from the 80s and 90s, rap music was the best. Like, the very first rap song came out in 1979. That, you know, Rapper's Delight. Such a great song though. You gotta look it up. It's awesome. Rapper's Delight, man. So I think that was the very first rap song ever came up. So yeah, 79 was the year the first rap song ever came out. You know, it's crazy. Very iconic. You gotta love them, man. So, alright, I need to go find a cave though. I don't know why I keep running around. I always do that though. I just can't. That's just part of my habit. And now I just gotta go look for a cave. I don't want to go too far because I want to find a good cave, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, most of the new music is it's kind of repetitive. It's not that groovy. It's 50-50. I like older music better. I like classic hits better. It's way better music in my opinion. To be honest. Yo, I see a spider down here. Look, looks like I found another cave down here. This one looks pretty big. Okay, this doesn't look too decent. I want to find a better cave though, so we're gonna probably go like over here. But yeah, I rather listen to like rock music, whether if it's like, I mean, newer rock music is good, but it's not as good as rock music from the 70s, 80s, and even up to the early, and even to the 2000s. They were still good too. Nickelback, it's okay, but I don't really listen to Nickelback that much anymore, but they're not bad. They do make pretty good music. They still do. Like, the older Nickelback songs are a little bit better though, in my opinion, compared to the newer ones. I didn't find a cave though. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this podcast. I'm gonna go hit the hay pretty soon. It's getting late. And I want to say thank you for checking up on this podcast. So that's it for podcast number 13. Y'all have a great day. Y'all have a great night. Take care of yourselves. I love you guys so much. And maybe, and who knows, maybe sometime around this weekend, I'm thinking about doing another podcast tomorrow if you guys want me to. Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe I might do another podcast tomorrow if I want to. Maybe once in a while I'll do it every couple days. So I might probably do podcast number 14 tomorrow, so I can't wait to do that. So If not, maybe it'll be like a next week or something. Who knows, man? Maybe I'll probably do them on the weekends, just depending on the day. But hey. So yeah, maybe sometime around tomorrow or tomorrow night or even during the day, I'll think about doing podcast number 14. So I love you guys very much. Peace.